So the finals Grand Major is only a week away, and there's been a lot that has changed since Closed Qualifiers a few months ago. Hey guys, it's Sam from the Finals Central, and today I'm going to be breaking down everything that has happened since Closed Qualifiers to get you up to speed for the Grand Major. So before we talk about what's happened over the last few weeks, I recommend getting caught back up to speed on Closed Qualifiers. We have a video right here that covers everything that happened during the qualifier run and can get you up to speed quickly. Alright, so first, quite a lot of esports organizations have entered the finals, signing the teams that progress through closed quals. Here's a breakdown of each team. First up, Emerald Grinders. Now, Emerald Grinders is a pretty interesting topic, as they were originally signed by Ape Squad, a prominent organization within the finals since the comp scene really started. In case you need a refresher though, they are made up of Alone in Paris, Nuwak, and Donkrage with Mauser as the coach. Unfortunately though, the players of the new Ape Squad team ran into visa issues and made the announcement that they will not be able to attend the major. In response to this news, Ape Squad activated a secondary roster, picking up the EMEA runner-up team known as Books Esports, consisting of Manda, Krieger Blue, and Mr. Red Fox. Emerald Grinders have now taken on a new name of Emerald Apes and still represent Ape Squad in other finals esports like Pro Hubs. Next up, Beamers. The Beamer squad has been signed by Fnatic and consists of Renka, Nagos, and Nagiri. The squad has looked amazing and in our opinion has become the most improved team between Closed Qualifiers and the Major, especially with their performance in PHL Season 2, which we'll talk about shortly. After the Fnatic signing, we saw Q to Love, aka QDL, get signed by Gen G. The team is made up of Taikyu Joe, Nolix, and Pakulim. Sorry if I've mispronounced any of your names, but I'm trying my best over here. As a refresher, Gen G was the first squad to qualify for the Major, so seeing them get signed was a very exciting moment for the community. Next, let's talk about TechSource Gaming, also known as TSG. Now, if you remember, this team did have a controversial qualifying run. Maybe controversial isn't the right word for it, but people either loved or hated them due to their usage of goo gun and smokes during their qualifying run. The team is made up of Ricardo, Naus, and Hani, and have now been signed by 5 Fears. Now, if you followed the finals esports leading up through the closed qualifiers, you might remember that 5 Fears already had a team, and they were based in the EMEA region. That team consisted of Rabinsky, Yoip, and Yurg. Unfortunately though, that squad did get knocked out during qualifiers, and 5 Fears chose to pick up the TSG roster over in North America. According to the finals wiki, which I'll link down below, Rabinsky is still serving as the head coach for this new 5 Fears squad. Now, after the 5 Fears signing, we had the signing of a former Splitgate squad. Arco, Apollo SG, and Visions, previously under the name No Hours, are now representing TSM. Now, in full transparency here, I'm not sure if all 3 players came from Splitgate together, and I personally don't know all of their stories, but it is cool to see them continue their competitive run in Stockholm and represent a prestigious organization like TSM. Now, that brings us to our final signing of the qualified teams, and that's going to be 4th Party Cashbox. Now, if you remember from Closed Qualifiers, there was a major headline early in the qualifiers for EMEA, and that was that Pulsar had been knocked out of qualifiers and would not be attending the Major. Now, as a finals history lesson for you, Pulsar was the first esports organization to sign a team all the way back in PHL Season 0. To see them get knocked out first in the closed qualifiers was an emotional gut punch to a lot of us in the community, as that roster really pioneered a lot of what the finals esports is today. Not having Pulsar at the Major felt like something was truly missing. Well, good news! Pulsar will be at the Major, but with a new roster and region, as they picked up 4th Party Cashbox consisting of our day 1 here at TFC, Brutal Logic, Boo Boo, and Sparrow. Now, just like Emerald Apes, Pulsar is also keeping around their old roster, and they're going to be known as Pulsar White over in the EMEA region. They still represent the organization over in like things like PHL and probably Ape Squad events in the future. And this team is known as Pulsar Blue in those scenes as well. But at the Grand Major, there's only one Pulsar. They're known as Pulsar, and it is this North American team. So, I know it's a little confusing. Hopefully that cleared it up for you. So that brings us to our full roster of teams attending the Major next week. From North America, we've got Envy, Pulsar, TSM, Kansas City Pioneers, Nightmare, 5 Fears, and Space Station Gaming. From EMEA, we got Gen G, Fnatic, Alliance, Vanguard, Team Secret, and Ape Squad. And from APAC, we've got Kingzone, Dragon Ranger Gaming, also known as DRG, and FN Esports. Now, look, I know I didn't talk a lot about APAC really at all, And that's because it's kind of difficult to find up-to-date information on them. There are teams scrimming and things like that, but with language barriers and also ping issues, it's really hard to find some information on these teams. Somebody who has done a lot of research though is Artie, and if you haven't already, check out this video where he talks about the meta and just kind of what's going on in the APAC scene, as that will get you way more up to speed than I can get you. Alright, so there's obviously been a lot more happening in the finals esports scene since Closed Qualifiers, the main story of which is going to come from PHL Season 2. Now, we have talked about PHL numerous times on this channel, so I won't give the whole backstory spiel here, but PHL was back and with a brand new format. The main changes to the format for their play days were Wednesdays only consisting of cash outs, which awarded points and essentially created seedings for the Saturday play days, which worked almost like a small tournament. See, what would happen is based on your performance on Wednesday, you would be placed into a new group for Saturday. On Saturday, you'd play a cash out game. And then based on your performance from that cash out game, if you finished in the top 2, you would play a best of 3 final round series over on the main stream. Now, if you finished in 3rd and 4th, you would wind up on a B stream, playing for matches there and for additional points. First of all, this is really cool because we actually got asked to run that B stream, especially for North America. So thank you to Walt and Burita again. I've thanked them numerous times, but seriously, thank you guys for allowing us to do that. It was an awesome experience, and we've got a video right here talking about our experience in our kind of like journey to becoming casters, as Cody and I casted and observed these pro games for the first time ever. So check that out, link down in the description. Now, while the play days format was new and very exciting, the most notable format change actually came from the championship series this season in PHL. See, what would happen is teams would play different final round and cash out games to basically qualify their way to phase 2. This followed something very similar to what you watched during Closed Qualifiers for the major, and basically it gave teams a lot of chances to try to qualify for phase 2. They weren't knocked out after one loss or anything like that. Now, phase 2 is where things get very interesting. In phase 2, we have 4 teams remaining. Those teams first play a cash out game, and then the top 2 teams then move on to play 2 final round matches. If you get a win in final round, you earn a point. The first team to score 5 points wins the entire event. This format is something completely unique, and I personally have never seen it done before in anything else. If you've seen this before, definitely let us know down in the comments, because we overall are still kind of out on our opinion on how this format really works, but it is what we're going to see next week at the major. Now, one thing that was different with championships this season as well is we did not have any cross-region play. EU stuck to themselves and North America stuck to themselves as well. So the format actually presented 2 different experiences between EMEA and North America. In EMEA, we saw a lot more teams deciding to bring in what they thought was the weakest link, which unfortunately did result in Ape Squad being griefed in every time. Alliance winded up taking home the W, while Ape Squad got beat up on and ultimately went 0-9.
Don't cry, little monster. Uncle Monger's got enough carrot puree to feed you your entire life. Jerry, sir, bring over the feed hose ASAP. The boy's hungry.
In North America, though, we actually saw something totally different. Nightmare came out hot with 4 points on the board almost immediately, and because of this, the rest of the lobby winded up targeting them to prevent them from qualifying through a cash-out match, which resulted in an eventual scenario where Nightmare, Firestrays, and Envy all winded up being at match point with 4 points. Firestrays and Envy seemed to almost have this alliance together, which resulted in them qualifying through cash out and then playing each other in final round, a total of 5 series, until eventually Firestrays actually took home the dub. Now, this sparked a lot of controversy about the format, as to some it felt like the best team, which would be Nightmare, didn't win. On the other side though, others disagree and believe that there's more to the format than just mechanics. Now, me personally, I think it's a little too soon to make a call on whether the format is good or bad. I personally want to see it again at the major before I form my final opinion, but it is an endurance race, and with the competitive final scene, I feel like that's kind of what we come to learn, is it's not just mechanics and it's not just gameplay, it's also mental and how long you can stay locked in, keep your cool, and find your window to victory. And overall, I think that's actually what Firestrays found worked for them. Sloth said something similar, whereas Nightmare kind of said that they were tilted and just didn't really care anymore. So overall, very excited to see how this shakes out for the major. All right, so speaking of the major, let's talk about the major itself. First up, if you haven't heard yet, the P90 and the BFR are actually still banned for the Grand Major, which was a little bit of a shock to us. Now, Embark's reasoning for closed qualifiers was that the weapons were too new, which, fair, they did release, only a couple weeks before closed qualifiers, so I think that makes sense. However, I don't know if that excuse really applies anymore. See, the BFR was not banned in PHL Season 2, and it by far became one of the most meta weapons for the heavy class. A lot of teams spent a lot of time learning the weapon, perfecting it. We saw the gap kind of diminish over time as they, kind of got closer together in skill with the weapon. It winded up actually existing all the way through PHL leading up to Champs, and then Embark announced that the weapon was banned. And as a result, PHL did decide to ban it as well because PHL built the season basically as practice for the major and they wanted to keep their rules as close as possible. Now, what's the outcome of this, right? It winded up causing the meta for heavies to shift back to the SA1216 like we've seen for a couple seasons now, and also a little bit of Shaq 50 gameplay, but I feel like for the most part, the SA1216 and maybe the occasional Deagles are going to be what you see a lot of at the major. One thing I want to mention as well is this weapon ban took also the players and also talent by surprise. This doesn't sound like it was really something decided upon by like the players as like a community, which is something you see in like Call of Duty with, GAs and things like that. So it was definitely an interesting call, to say the least. Now, speaking of talent, let's talk about our casting talent as we actually have the official announcement, which we want to give a huge congrats to. At the major, you're going to expect to find the same closed qualifiers crew of Artie, Ryu, and Jerry the Music Man, but joining them is also going to be Waltz and Satoya, which is amazing. These are great friends of ours, and we are so happy for them, especially Waltz, as he is somebody that, has helped us out here at TFC since we started. Also joining the crew though, as a community observer, is the legendary Burrito Supreme. Now, if you don't know who Burrito is, right? Burrito is pretty much the tournament organizer for PHL alongside Waltz, and he also runs Observer for pretty much every single match of PHL. The dude does it all, and he does an amazing job, and I'm so happy that Embark has brought him along, as well as the rest of the casting crew, to really bring in who I consider the experts of the scene. It's going to be amazing. I know he is going to absolutely kill it. Finally, we also have Neon Guts joining as a broadcaster, which has a description of the following on Embark's website. Neon Guts, Grapple God, unofficial bug tester, a member of the Embark Partner Program, and avid the finals player. Neon Guts will be joining Oscar at DreamHack in the Expo Hall and the stage to hype up the crowd and provide colorful, if the color is orange, commentary throughout the event. If you know Neon, then you can expect some real shenanigans out of him. And finally, if you plan to watch the major, which you should, you probably want to know that it's actually going to start at 10 a.m. local time in Sweden on both Friday, November 28th and Saturday, November 29th. If you're US East like me, that's an early morning at 4 a.m. If you're US West like Cody, you have a late night starting at 1 a.m. If you are attending the major in person, it does seem like you will potentially also get an exclusive weapon bundle. And finally, to close us off, let's talk about us, TFC, and what we're going to be doing at the major. First up, assuming everything goes according to plan, we are going to be hosting a version of our watch party, but with a twist. Normally, we are in our chairs here at home, like this one, hanging out and, chilling with you guys in chat while we watch all the matches. Maybe we talk to some friends in a call, but overall, we're just kind of hanging out. But we're going to actually be at DreamHack, so we came up with the idea of how are we going to make this happen. And what we've decided on is, instead of our cameras being this one, like you're looking at me with, they're actually be our phones from in the crowd. But it's going to have the same overlay as our watch party, which, so you're going to have, chat, you're going to have the gameplay feed, but we're actually going to be at the major. And on top of that, that also means we're going to be hanging out with people at the major. So whether you're in the crowd, some of our friends that are coaches, players, etc. It's going to be an awesome time. It's going to be some way to have us, provide some new coverage for you, which is definitely awesome. So I definitely recommend checking in, watch the stream, join our Discord, because that's when you're going to know where we go live. Now, along with the IRL Watch Party, we also have been accepted as official DreamHack creators. As of right now, we will be playing the finals live with at least 3 other creators on Friday from 3:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. local time in Sweden, which again is 9:30 a.m. Eastern and 6:30 a.m. Pacific. Come check out the stream, as it should be a ton of great games, a ton of great moments, and a ton of great laughs. And finally, if you are attending the major, please come find us and say what's up. We would love to meet all of you. We also are going to be attending the Grand Mingle, which is on Thursday leading up to the event, And we really cannot wait to say hey to all of you. And that's it. That's everything you need to know before the Grand Major next weekend. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked this video, make sure to like and subscribe, as we're going to be bringing a ton of new content post-major, as well as the return of maybe a community tournament finally. And that's kind of it, guys. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you at the major.